go ahead and get started. This is Vishan Borich from Team Tough, and welcome to our Down and Dirty at 1:30. I host these every Monday, and my goal is to provide you with extreme value for your life and for your business. So today I'm going to be teaching you a cheater's guide to the perfect digital business brand. If you're not familiar with the world of branding or how to do it, this is the perfect call for you, or the perfect hangout, because we're really going to dive in to how you can do it relatively quickly. There are those who are branding experts out there who, they spend months and months and months developing a brand for a big company, a big corporation. And that's not what we're going to focus on today. Today, we're going to focus on how to build specifically a personal brand that you can use for your own digital business, or if you have an existing business, you can use it for that as well. So I hope that you find value with this. We're going to go ahead and flip my screen around and get started. But first, let me see who else out there so I can shout out to those who are there. I see just a few people coming on in. All right, Julie's out there. I see you. Okay, cool. And some of them are logging in right now, so I'm not going to wait too long here. But let me go ahead and get started. We'll flip this around. All right, so a cheater's guide to the perfect digital business brand. So here's what you're going to be learning today from me, your host, Vishan Borich. This is the overview that I've got. So number one, we're going to talk about exactly what is a brand, because knowing what one is will help you tremendously when you're going out to develop one, and also, why it's important to have that. The second thing is how to find your core message. That's part of what's a brand, is in developing that core message. We're going to talk specifically on some steps and questions that you can answer personally in order to develop that core message. Next, we're going to talk about how to hone in on your target market. And once you have the building blocks on how to hone in on your target, you're going to much more easily be able to attract customers to your business. And then finally, I'm going to be disclosing a cheat sheet that I've used in order to keep track of my target market, and also to know who they are at any moment in time, so that I can really focus my branding, my advertising, and everything else on that market. All right, so let's start off with, what is a brand? A brand is very important because it gives you your core message. This is what you're made up of. This is your belief structure. So when you have a brand, it's more than just a logo. It's more than just some text on paper. A brand is who you are. It's intrinsic to, when people think of you or think of your business, this is what they think of. This lets your audience know what they can expect from the content that you provide. Okay, so let's take some popular brands that are out there, some big brands that you've probably heard of. So let's take a look at like Harley Davidson. They're famous, of course, for their motorcycles. Specifically, they have a very tough audience. They are the pinnacle of motorbikes, at least in America. To have a Harley, that means that you're tough. Number one, they have this signature muffler sound that comes out of it that gives that feeling in a Harley that you've got something really great, something of quality, and it has this whole history in their brand, of their beliefs, of having like motorcycle gangs. They have a whole culture around that. Obviously there's a lot of them now. The bikes have gotten more and more expensive over the years. There's a lot of people that are very, very wealthy that ride those bikes, but the whole idea is that they want to have that tough freedom feeling behind them. So when you think of Harley, you think of that. You don't think of a young person on that. You think of somebody who has experience and is a good rider. All right, so that's one example. So let's think of some other examples, like I think Hardee's. For those of you that are familiar with Hardee's fast food joint, They recently, well, not that recently, but about 5-6 years ago, they completely reorganized their brand. They are a fast food joint, well known in America for their hamburgers and French fries. But there are a lot of fast food joints that are like that. One thing that Hardee's did to distinguish themselves from everybody else was they realized that their best audience are those folks that are on construction jobs. Young guys, athletic guys that are working construction teams, hardworking men. And so with that audience in mind, they completely restructured the way that they advertise themselves, because that's who their core people are. So their core message has to relate to those people. So if you've seen any of their television commercials or ads online and things like that, everything is related to the psyche or the stereotype of a young male. So they have these really attractive, good-looking women that are eating these massive hamburgers. And so they are, they're appealing to that audience of a young male, enjoying, the beauty of these young women eating a really huge hamburger, which is what these construction guys want. I mean, they're hungry, they're burning calories like crazy when they're out there working these heavy labor jobs. So they know their audience. And so their audience is attracted to them because they have developed that brand that relates to the audience that they're trying to attract. Okay, I hope that makes sense for you. So basically, you want to segment your audience. We're going to talk in more detail on how to do that. But if you're out there doing what I call the shotgun approach, which means you're trying to attract everybody to your business because you believe what you have is really for everyone, then you're probably not attracting the right people, and you're probably not having a lot of success, because honestly, the best brands really segment their audience down to a very specific demographic, very specific person. Okay, and once you start doing that, you're going to find that you bring in more people, because everybody wants to feel like they're a part of a tribe or a group, people that understand them, right? So if you go through and you are targeting just those people, as a byproduct of that, you're going to attract even more similar, like-minded individuals into your business. Okay, so this is what I found, and a lot of big businesses use this strategy as well, because it's the way that our psyche works. We want to feel like we are part of a club, part of a group, and just like the Harley Davidson example, if you own a Harley, you instantly are part of that club. When you see another person on a Harley Davidson motorcycle, you automatically have a bond or a friendship with them, just superficial on the surface, just because they drive the same type of motorcycle that you do. All right, so that's the way it goes. All right, so now we've talked a little bit about what is a brand. Let's go a little deeper on this. It's not what you do, and that's not what's important. Like, look at Apple. They don't come out and tell you in their commercials, Apple computers or Apple, with the Apple phone and all of the products they have, they don't come out and tell you what they do. They could come out and say, we build great computers and phones. Well, there's a lot of companies that build great computers and phones, so that doesn't draw you in. If you are an Apple lover, or if you don't like their products, if you're on the polar opposite of that, then they've done a great job of capturing their audience. But they don't talk about what they do. Listen to their commercials and their advertising, and they don't talk about how they do it either. They don't go into the details of how it's built, how they created the iPhone, for example. They don't go into a lot of detail about how it's all put together. But what they do tell you is why they're doing it. They wanted to build a phone, let's just use the iPhone as an example, that was simple to use, that anyone could use, that didn't involve you having to press a ton of buttons. Everything is on the screen, it's touch, it's very easy to use, and it does some things that other phones don't do. And so you understand why, and it's also a beautiful piece of art. They've really structured, Apple and iPhone have structured their business so that it's like an exclusive club of people who like really high quality products, or perceived high quality products that have a beautiful aesthetic feeling to them, and they just happen to be a phone, just happens to be a phone, just happens to be a computer. And that is why you buy it, because you feel that way. You like things that are beautiful, that are easy to use, and that seem to have some kind of a status symbol to them. And that is what they've done. So if you can narrow down why you do what you do, and you express that more so than what you do or how you do it, you're going to instantly start attracting more people to your business. That is your brand. Your brand is why you do it. It's not how or what. And this isn't a new concept. In fact, you can find your personal brand. And I skipped ahead here a little bit, but let me go to the, I may have missed it. There's a book out there called, it's by Simon Sinek, and it may come up in another slide. It's called Start With Why. And I will provide the full name and everything here on another slide. But you go and check out that book, or download it, or go to Audible. I listen to a lot of my books, and listen to Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And that's going to help you to develop your brand even more deeply than what we're going through today. So this is the really important part. If you want to put it in a nutshell, how to find your personal brand, know who you are and what you aren't. If you know those two things, your beliefs are who you are, and what you aren't, what you won't stand for, you're instantly going to have a brand there. There's something about that that segments people to understand what you are, who you are, and what you aren't. And now they're going to be more attracted to you because they either resonate with that or they don't. And you want that to happen. The more that that happens, the better, because now you're developing people who, if you don't stand for anything, you'll stand for nothing, right? You want people to realize that you stand for this, and you aren't going to stand for these other things. So you have to draw people to you based on who you are and what you aren't. All right, so the next step is finding that core message. So here are some questions to ask yourself in order to develop that brand and find that core message that you want to present to the world. So the first one is, what do you truly love doing? Now, if you have a business, do you really love doing it? If you don't, I recommend you change businesses, because my philosophy personally is that life is very short. You never know if today is going to be your last day. You don't know that. Nobody knows that for sure. So you might as well do what you love, right? The money will follow. It really does. I know that's old cliche, but if you do what you love, you'll find ways to monetize that in order to make it worth your while to do it. But if you are just doing something for the money, eventually you will get burnt out. I have not met one wealthy person who eventually, if they didn't love what they did, didn't get burnt out by doing what they, just for the money. Now, for those people that do what they love, whether they're wealthy or not, they never have a bad day for very long. If they have one, it's very short-lived because they really enjoy what they're doing. So write down, this is my homework assignment for you, write down the things that you love doing. And what is it about your business or about your product or your service that you absolutely love doing? All right, then the next question is, of those things, what are you really good at? Usually they're the same thing. If they're not, then you may want to do some more introspective work. But what are you really, truly good at? This is going to help you when you're sharing your core message. And then finally, what do you do that does not feel like work when you do it? There's at least one thing out there that when you do it, it just feels like play to you. It's just fun. You're good at it. You love doing it. It doesn't feel like work. Okay, that's what you need to do more of, and that's what you need to brand yourself as, because you want to attract people to you that see that as valuable. And believe it or not, no matter what it is that you're good at and you love doing and doesn't feel like work, there is somebody out there that could benefit from that knowledge or that message. All right, so finding your core message some more. So, oh, here's the book that I mentioned earlier. I skipped ahead a bit. So this was that book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And it's going to help you to really understand yourself and your core message and your brand. And this is what helped me tremendously. A mentor of mine recommended I read this when I was having some trouble developing my brand. And after I read it, that's how I came up with Team Tough, this Rosie the Riveter image. And tough stands for tough, unstoppable, fearless, and free, because that's my brand. That's what I aspire to do. I aspire to give you all some tough love, right? Tough love to help you in your life. And I desire to help generate a feeling that you are unstoppable. Whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, you can do it. And in order to do that, in order to achieve, you have to be fearless. You have to get out of your comfort zone and overcome your fear. And then finally, if you do those things, if you're tough, you're unstoppable, and you're fearless, eventually you will find that you're free, that you find a lifestyle of freedom, because every day you love what you do and you get up and you do it. And everything that I do is a vehicle towards being tough, unstoppable, fearless, and free. I'm also a martial artist, and that is part of my message, is helping those that are my students to be tough, to be fearless, and so that they can live more freely in our world and not be afraid to walk down the street or to go places, to travel, to do things that they've always wanted to do, and to not worry about other people harming them in some way, because they have a knowledge of how to protect themselves. All right, so honing in, this is the next part, is once you know your core message, hone in on a target market, your target market for that message. So let me give you an example. You want to find other people that are just like you and understand what they like and don't like and what they struggle with. Okay? This is the easiest way to really hone in. Don't try to find a target that you think that there's a lot of people to be interested in it. Find a target that's just like you. And believe it or not, there are people out there that are just like you or have similar interests, and they like the same things that you like, and they don't like the same things that you don't like, and they also have this similar struggles, or even the same struggles in many cases that you have. And when you find those people, now you've got your target. So we're going to help you put all this together. So here's another question to ask. So once you kind of know who you are, your age. So these are some things you need to write down is, what is your age? And it should be about a 10 to 15 year gap there, because usually, people have the same struggles within a 10 to 15 year gap, but that's your target market. So whatever age you are, find your target that's within that age. What's your gender? Oftentimes who you're targeting, they may be gender specific. Okay, or if they're not gender specific, maybe you do target both men and women. Is your message more masculine or is it more feminine? If it's something strong, such as in my case, being tough and unstoppable, although my image is a female Rosie the Riveter type logo, it resonates with both men and women, because I'm talking about strength. So I didn't use any pinks or lighter colors, because we are a strong group of people that are ambitious and have big goals and big dreams, and like to stand up for ourselves. And so I do tend to market to both male and female, even though I'm a female. But knowing if you're a more feminine energy or a more masculine energy is something you need to understand when you're targeting your market. Location. Think about not just where you live personally, but where do these people reside? Where can you find more of them? What does their home life look like? Are they on the road a lot? Are they travelers? Do they live in a big city? Do they live in a more rural environment out in the country? Do they live in a place where it gets really, really cold? Do they live in a place where it gets really, really hot? What is the location specifics of your target market? And what's their family situation? Are they young and single and they don't have a family yet? Are they a new family? They're just building one. Are they, are they older? Have they established a family that's already adults now? And so now they're in their golden years. Okay. What types of hobbies? And these are all traits that you have too. I want you to keep that in mind. Don't just go out again and find somebody else. Write down your hobbies, your family life. What's the jobs that they do? What type of job have you done? What is your background? And then what are the challenges? This is where you really need to go deep. Once you've narrowed down the first 5 or 6, you need to go deep on the challenges that each of these people have. So for you, let me just give you an example, and I'll use myself here because I know myself and I don't know who all is listening here. But for me, I'm in my 40s. So the type of people that I tend to attract are, in their, late 30s, as old as 50. Okay, so 35 to 50 is usually my sweet spot. I do tend to attract both men and women equally. However, I tend to focus more on women as a woman, and so I do have some things that I put out there that are related to more females than they are to men. Location wise, I live out in the country. I love living outside of a city on an acreage. And so for me, I am attracted to those people who like to live out in the country on an acreage. They would prefer to live there, and they are looking for ways that they can earn income without having to move back to a big city, because typically higher paying jobs are in a larger city. So it's more challenging for folks to get higher paid jobs if they live out in the country. And then family, I'm targeting those that have children, have young children. I have 2 young boys, and so I resonate with parents, moms or dads, that have kids that are school aged. And then hobbies. Of course, I mentioned earlier that I'm a martial artist, so I like those people that are into martial arts. I also love animals. I have dogs, I have cats. I love horses. I don't currently own any horses, but there's a lot of them near me, and we go riding and stuff like that. So I talk about some of those things. Job, my background was in corporate America, and so therefore I tend to resonate with those folks, especially corporate women who really work their way up to a very high paid position in the corporate world. And now they realize that they're dissatisfied with that part of their life, that they've lost the connection with their family while they were climbing the corporate ladder. And so I tend to target people that fit there. I call them alpha moms because they're moms now, but they are very high paid, very successful moms, and now they're wanting to kind of go back and be a part of their children's lives. And then challenges. What are some of the challenges that they have? And I'm going to go into detail about some of the challenges that my people have, and hopefully that'll help you as well. All right, so basically what you're going to do is, as you write all these things down about yourself, pick one specific facet of you that you can really hone in on and target. So I found that there are actually 3 for me, and I wouldn't recommend going beyond 3. The best targets are usually about 2. So you want to pick 2 facets of you, but you want to really narrow it down. So for me, I have 3, and I'll list those. So I've got the martial arts crowd, because that's a big part of my life. I also own a martial arts studio, so I want to focus on that. The other crowd is my alpha moms, which I mentioned earlier. These are the corporate women who are very have done very well for themselves, and now they're looking for something else. And then finally, I like country people, folks that live on an acreage or would like to live on an acreage and really enjoy rural America. So I've got those 3 targets. So once you've kind of narrowed it down and I've segmented them, I don't try to target all of them at once. Like I would not have any success if I tried to find corporate women martial artists who like to live in the country. That's just too narrow of an audience. So what I've done is I've got those 3 segments where I literally market in different ways to each of those 3 segments. So let me go deeper here down this rabbit trail. You want to give your target market a name. So for me, we talked about this one earlier. The first one is my alpha moms, very powerful, strong women who are in corporate America. The second one is martial artists, and I got a little ahead of myself here. So we've got those, and then we've got GRITS, and GRITS was my acronym. Some of you may have seen these on t-shirts if you're from the South, the southern part of the U.S. It's called Girls Raised in the South, and GRITS it's also a type of food product that a lot of us Southern gals have eaten growing up, or we still eat today. And so I use the acronym GRITS because I really like to focus on women who want to live on an acreage out in the country, and they have those Southern kind of personality traits that you grow up with being raised down in the South. All right, so these are the names of my targets. So now I'm going to show you the cheat sheet, and you're going to actually get a copy of this, but this is how I put together my own personal cheat sheet to target my audiences and to build my brand. So I know it's going to be a little small, but I'm going to go through this. So it's basically a chart, and at the top of the chart, I've got the name that I gave that segment, that target. So I've got my alpha moms, my martial artists, and my girls raised in the South. Okay, and then in this first box, I break it down as to who they are. So who are these alpha moms? What are they like? Well, number one, they are short for time. They want more time because they're very busy. They're working corporate America, and then they're coming home to a husband. So oftentimes it's a stay-at-home husband who takes care of the kids, and so they are either cooking dinner or spending time with their kids, but they have very short bursts. But they try to be that super mom where they're doing it all. They're both working and being a mom all at the same time. So they want it all. They're a top earner, so they often are making six figures or more. They like to take fancy vacations. They want their children to go to the best schools. They want to be a great wife. They strive to be. However, again, their time is limited. They probably have a nice home in a prestigious area or a big neighborhood or suburb. They like the prestige of being successful. And they love to research things. They're big into that. That's one of the things that they're known for. That's probably how they got to the top as well. So they're big into that. And they are between the age of 28 and 45. They are moms, and maybe they're at a point now that they are looking to move back home and not be out in the corporate world anymore. Okay, so that's kind of a description of the alpha mom and who they are. All right, so you see how detailed I got there? So now we get into the bottom part of alpha moms, is some of the problems that they face. Well, we already talked about time, so they are very limited in time. That's a big problem that they have. They wish they had more time. They miss their children. They miss their kids because they are working so hard to maintain their status that they don't have a lot of time with their kids. Their kids are often in daycare. If they don't have a stay-at-home husband or somebody to take care of their kids, or a nanny or something like that, they still miss their kids. They miss their husband too. They may not have as good of a relationship with their husband simply because they're always working. They wish they had a clean house. If they don't have a clean house because they don't have time, to clean, then they probably are hiring somebody to clean it, or they wish they had more money so they could hire somebody to clean it. They like gadgets, especially those that save time or make money. Those things are important to them, so they're looking for ways to save them time or make more money. And they strive to be the very best in their career, so they work very, very hard, but they limit their time with their family simply because they are trying to break through what we call the glass ceiling. And they have very few vacations. They're limited on those because of their work. And they probably don't have time for many hobbies simply because they are working so hard. So these are some of their problems. Are you starting to get a picture in your head as to who I'm targeting? And and the types of things that I might say to them when I'm working with them, because I know who they are, because I was that person. That was me. So, this gives you an idea as to how you can really start marketing yourself towards those people when you know some of their problems. All right, so now let's go to martial artists. So for that target, they enjoy the mental, physical, and spiritual aspect of the art. I'm really hitting the traditional martial artists, not the mixed martial artists. They are very loyal. They're extremely determined, because obviously it takes a lot of effort to make it to black belt. They don't know how to quit. They've been taught through the martial arts to persevere no matter what. However, they don't have enough time to practice their art as much as they like, because they have a job. They may want to one day own their own dojo, but they're limited in income right now because of their job. And usually for my martial artists, they are male. There's not very many female martial arts adults, and they're younger. They're age 25 to 35. Okay, some of their problems are they are restricted by their spouse, if they're married, to make martial arts a more full-time occupation. Typically, if they're a male, it's expected that they go and they work for somebody else in order to make a living for their family. And so the idea of them just having a martial arts studio is not as appealing to their spouse usually. They're looking for a way that they could fund their dreams of having their own school or being able to train more often. If they are actively competing, they need a way to fund their travel if they're going to different tournaments. And they also need money to fund the expense of competition and different clinics that they attend. They probably have a dream of traveling to Japan or other countries in order to learn more arts, more of their martial arts. So these are just some of the things that martial artists think about, and that's a very targeted audience for me as well. Okay, so one more example, because I did have 3, and I'll go through this one. So my girls raised in the South, these are grown-up tomboys. So, when they're little girls, they pretty much did everything with their daddy. Their daddy's girls, they hunt, they fish, they did everything. They enjoy nature. Most of them are very religious, God, either through God or the universe. They love animals, and they like the land. They like living on the land. They would rather live on an acreage and ride horses or quads than in a big city. And they may like to be on the water in a boat. They are self-reliant and very tough. Think of these gals as cowgirls. So usually they are between the age of 35 to 55, at least the ones that I'm targeting, because they've reached a point where they might have been an alpha mom before, but now they just want to live on their acreage with their horses. And the thing about them, about their problems, is they really can't stand the confines of a city. They are not into city living at all. They would much rather be dressed casually in a pair of jeans and boots than they would be dressed up in work clothes. And they need more income to buy land for their animals, or toys, or to feed the animals. By toys, I mean big toys, big guy toys, such as ATVs, boats, etc. And obviously feeding horses and things like that can be very pricey, so they need the money to do that. These are rural folk, and it's difficult for them to find high-paying jobs in the location that they live. They probably won't have high-speed internet, though, so that could be a problem for them based on a rural environment. All right, so this is what I use as my cheat sheet. Every time that I write an email, every time that I post an ad on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or Pinterest or somewhere like that, I am targeting one of these 3 people. And by doing so, I am able to talk their language and attract more of those people into my business. I have several businesses, but as far as martial arts ones, I'm attracting people to learn my style of martial arts, and also to learn from the clinics that we offer. For my alpha moms and girls raised in the South, I'm focusing on an internet business opportunity that I promote, and this is a way for me to attract more of those people. So I hope that this has helped you. This is really what helped me when my mentor sat down with me and showed me how to do this personally. So I have some final words here. The first one is once you have your brand as to who you're going to target, your job is to find more people just like you. If you can focus on that, you can make literally anything into a success. You just have to find more people. And one of the things that I do in my business is I teach my students how to find more people. As an online marketer, I know a lot of ways to find those people online. I can find just about anyone online. It's something I've learned. It's something I've strived to learn. I'm not trying to brag. It's just something that I enjoy doing, is researching and finding people just like me and helping others to find their people as well. So if you're looking for assistance in how to find more people just like you, then I encourage you to reach out to me. You'll see a button below where you can join Team Tough. You can get in contact with me. And what you'll learn from there is how you can find more people and some of the strategies that can be used online to really pinpoint your exact demographic and target market. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you is, just for sticking around on this Hangout today and for registering for our Down and Dirty Hangout, you're going to be emailed a cheat sheet. It's going to ask you specific questions so that you can complete a chart just like the one that I outlined for you just a moment ago. And this should drastically help you when you're going out there to market yourself. If you know these things about your audience, you can really work to run ads that just target that group. Because if you're spending money targeting people that aren't even a good fit for your business, then number one, you're wasting money. And number two, if you happen to attract somebody who's not even a good fit, you're going to spend too much time with them trying to integrate them into a system that they don't even really understand because they aren't your target market. All right, so I'm going to flip things around because now we're done with the slideshow part of the presentation. All right, I hope that you got a lot of value from this, and I hope that you took some notes. If you would like additional training I'd mentioned earlier, go ahead and click on the button below to join Team Tough. If you're not ready to join Team Tough, click on the other one where you can join our newsletter, and you'll start receiving regular newsletters from me that gives you some tips and tricks on how you can become a better online marketer and be your own business owner, no matter what business you're in. All right, so with that said, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next Monday for our Down and Dirty at 1:30. Take care.